She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to 5 Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today. Welcome.
Today we're talking about spiritual practices, what we do on a daily basis, what we aspire to, how we live our spiritual practice. So, who would like to start?
I'll start. So this is Melissa, and I think it's been very important for me to have a spiritual practice in changing my behavior. Otherwise, I feel like I just keep recycling. I wake up and do the same thing. So the mornings are pretty big for me. That's my time to walk out in nature, be with my dog, meditate, try to get really centered for the day. So I used to wake up feeling just however I woke up was what I took into the day. So if I had dreams and everything and I woke up fearful, I would kind of do that for the rest of the day because I wasn't very conscious about being able to change that for myself. So I kind of now, I give myself permission to, okay, I'm waking up fearful, but I don't want to be that way all day. So I get to pay attention to that and change that. And then, my morning meditations are really important to me in helping me change behavior. A year ago, or like the new year, I decided I kind of wanted to have a more universal perspective of my higher power instead of God. I really wanted it to be a more universal thing and more of the I am that I am of the universe, and everyone's a part of me and I'm a part of everyone. So on Insight Timer, which is an online meditation app, I made a playlist of 3 meditations, and I've almost done them every morning since January. Like maybe I've missed 5 or so. And I really see that I'm changing because of it. And it's really nice. I also had a light bulb moment while doing these that for me, affirmations, I can't do affirmations. They don't work because they're all, for me, that I was always wanting. And it kept me in a wanting mode rather than I have received mode. And so now one of these or a couple of these meditations have intentions. So they're more like statements of this is how I am. So anyways, that is very helpful. And then at night, I really don't have a huge practice at night, but during the day and at night, I try to be very quiet. I turn radios off. I turn TVs off. I just sit or I drive down the road with nothing on. I just really try to get stillness in my life where I can. And it's very helpful. And just soothing my central nervous system. Like it's like a self-soothing for me. And one thing I do is I allow myself to do social media and watch TikTok if I want to. It's not a spiritual practice, but I've let myself off the hook on it, thinking it's not a good thing. So for me, it's just pure entertainment, and I laugh a lot when I'm watching it. So for me, that is kind of part of my spiritual practice because I'm serious a lot of the part of the day, and it's nice to be able to just bust out laughing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'm naked while I'm laughing.
Yeah, when you were talking, Melissa, you said you're in the car with nothing on, and I thought, oh my God, she's driving naked.
On the radio.
Amazing.
Yeah, and a tube top. So I have nothing on.
We said we were going to record these episodes that way.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that would have been fun. I didn't get that message.
And especially at your work, Penny, with the big face.
Oh my gosh. Well, I really love what you shared, Melissa, and how that insight timer. I'm always curious about what works for people. So how long are the meditations that you're doing? I'm really curious about that.
It's a total of almost 55 minutes. Yeah.
Well, that's a big commitment.
Yeah. Well, and I do them walking, or I do them sitting, or sometimes if I have to be driving in the morning, I just allow myself to have it be a part of my life without like making myself be somewhere. And I just don't want to be rigid with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that about the rigidity. So a couple of things come up for me. This is Morgan, by the way. So when we think of spiritual practice, we're really talking about a couple of different things. We're talking about the tangible, if that's the correct word, like practices, like you mentioned, meditation and intentions, Melissa, and whatever intentional prayer, yoga, meditation, whatever intentional practices we're doing. But then on a macro level, or on a bigger picture, we're also talking about how we live our lives. And Amanda, you mentioned that in the introduction when you brought in our topic, how our spiritual practice looks as we go about our day. Because even if we are like an expert level meditator and we're spending 2-3 hours a day in meditation, still the majority of our life is not spent in meditation. And it's how we are, it's the spiritual practice really comes into play in the moment to moment, everyday aspects of our lives. And so there's lots to say on this topic, and I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to say. But then I want to go back to the more tangible aspects of what we talk about, like in a morning practice. I went my whole life without really having a morning practice. I was not a morning person. I worked 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I snoozed the alarm as long as I could until I just had to get out of bed and get ready for work. And then when I started studying A Course in Miracles, I was like, well, I have time to read 2 pages from the text, or to read the 2 workbook pages. And then I was so in love with it that I also had to journal some of what I was reading. So then it expanded, stretched to about a 15-minute practice. And then I had to add like a little bit of a meditation contemplation time. So, I mean, gradually over the years, my morning quiet time has shifted and stretched and grown. And now I spend usually no less than an hour, sometimes 2 hours. And then, of course, sometimes I have a day where I'm feeling rushed and I just do the bare minimum. But I love my morning spiritual practice. My morning quiet time now really sets me up for the day, like you mentioned, Melissa. And I can tend, in the beginning especially, I could tend to be rigid. If my husband would come into the room while I was having my meditation or my quiet time, I would turn into a monster and yell at him. So kind of the opposite of really what we're going for. So I recognized in that an attachment to my morning quiet time looking a certain way. So it was just another growth opportunity, another something to be healed. In hindsight, it didn't need to be judged. Of course, I judged myself at the time. So I like discipline and the consistency of having a morning quiet time every day. But then just like you wouldn't do the same exercises every single day in a fitness program, I get a little bit, I have to change what I'm doing each morning. Like after so many months of doing X meditation, I might switch to this meditation, or after so many months of, it evolves and changes and shifts, and I come back to things that really resonate for me. So mine does not necessarily look the same every day, but I am getting quiet every day and having that time in contemplation, meditation, prayer, journaling, reading. It kind of shifts and changes. There's both structure and room for like fluidity in mine. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say for now. Would love to hear what any of you other ladies have to add to the conversation.
Well, Morgan, I love that. And I love that not comparing myself to others is a spiritual practice, because I don't spend an hour a day in a so-called spiritual practice. I had one of my spiritual teachers when I moved to Santa Fe. I did, right when I moved here, there was like a 6 or 10 week, I can't remember, it was so long ago. Every weekend there was a I've joked about it so much, I call it shamanics, right? My husband says, we're going shamanic. So like a shamanism type of training. And I just loved her. I loved that teacher. She's like, make it simple, make it consistent, and make it simple. I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. So for about 4 years, when the morning I walk outside, I live on 40 acres in the middle of nowhere. So my outside time is very peaceful. And I say good morning to all 4 directions.
Nice.
So the south is about strength. So I say something about cultivating strength and good morning to the south. The west is about transmuting. So it's about allowing change, renewal. North is ancestors, the wisdom of my ancestors. And the east is renewal. It's the new day. So and it doesn't take very long. And I'm on my walk with my dogs. And Melissa, I love the way that you said, spiritual practice, your spiritual practice is, it doesn't have to be sitting in a chair being still. It can be whatever we make it. So that's what I do practically. The practical application, something consistent that I do every single day. And also in the evening, I do another walk. So in letting go of rigidity, letting go of comparing myself to others, like, because I had, when you guys were talking about the hours spent, I'm like, but like, no, like letting go of comparing is not that either. I've also started working with horses in the last year. For my 50th birthday, I got myself horseback riding lessons. So I'm 52 now, and I have been doing this for a while. And working with horses is a spiritual practice for me too, because it's about being present. It's about horses are very psychic, very intuitive. So like clearing out all negativity. So I'm not bringing that to the space of however long I'm riding. So that is I consider that a big spiritual practice as well. And life every day, every minute is a spiritual practice. And we'll come back to that because I want to hear everybody's practical stuff first. So Penny, what about you?
Gosh, it's so fun to hear what everybody is doing to get their days started. It really is. So for me, the first thing I try to do when I wake up in the morning is to thank my bed for a beautiful night's sleep and to welcome in the new day just while I'm laying in bed when I remember. I don't always remember, but I strive to do that because I think it's just a really beautiful way to start and just thank God, thank my higher power that I'm alive and that it's going to be another beautiful day. And then where our bedroom is I look out onto this hillside And it's always just really beautiful. No matter, I live in California, so right now the hills are pretty golden and dry. And but we got an inch and a quarter of rain over the weekend. Yay! Anyway, so that's a spiritual practice, being thankful for what's going on in my life, especially the rain. And then I get up and I this year again I've been doing A Course in Miracles lessons every morning, almost every morning. Sometimes it might get into the evening before I get to it. But I listen to Marianne Williamson present the lesson and then do her commentary on it. And then I listen to Pam Grout do her commentary on it, which is so fun and inspiring. And then I also listen to Tina Louise Spalding. And that takes me maybe 15, 20 minutes, depending on the day, depending on how much they talk about the lesson. And then I sometimes write it on a note card and I carry it with me. And that's fun too. That's so I can be reminded throughout the day of what my lesson is that I'm working on. And then I move into doing. I'm a yogini, so I do pranayama and I do some asana and get my prana moving in my body, that life force, and then. I always, at 8:05 in the morning, we go walking with our neighbors Monday through Friday. And so our dog Teddy and my husband and I go walking with 4 other neighbors. And that's really fun. So I get to practice because sometimes the neighbors can be kind of practice worthy. I'll just say that. So, I really get to practice not judging and not thinking, oh my God, like, where are they? Like, their thoughts and stuff, on the way the life in the world is interesting and so different from mine at times. Yeah. And then I just try to stay in my loving heart throughout the day. That's always my intention is to embody self-love and acceptance and live in integrity in my thoughts, words, and deeds. And so I'm that's what I work on every day. And I love meditations and I don't have any. 10% Happier is the one that I subscribe to. And I sometimes do it. Most of the time don't. But yeah, there's so many options for me. And sometimes I get a little crazy that, I got to do it all. And recently, even if I only get on my yoga mat and do a Surya Namaskar and a Mariachana and then Shavasana, that might take me 5 minutes and that's good enough. And yeah, so I'm really been, because I'm that type of person that I can just really be hard on myself if I don't do it all the same way every day for 2 hours. If I don't do 2 hours, there must be something wrong with me, But I'm realizing that I don't have to be that rigid, just like others have mentioned. And so, yeah, that's what I do. And it evolves and it changes. And the pranayama and asana, they'll really help me get my day started, my body energized, ready to go. Yeah.
Wow. You ladies are so awesome. Good at samples. Wow. Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Tell us all about you, Drusilla.
I'm so all the place. I really, really am. I'm the same way with exercise. So it's just, I just really need a little spice to life, I think the most consistent thing that I do or that I try to do is when I first wake up, it feels so good to me if I can remember before I get out of bed to ensure that my thoughts are aligned with God. That's the one. That's probably the most consistent because it takes the least amount of time, right? Yeah. I can spend 5 minutes on that. And then if my husband interrupts me or whatever, if I don't get to do anything else, at least I've done that. But my normal practice um, is to do walks. I love walks and I love nature. And I will listen to either Jennifer's podcast or some, podcast or something like that. And typically that's about an hour. And I do because my work is from home, so I can usually spend another hour or so either reading or journaling. I do like writing. That's one of my creative pastimes. So I really do enjoy journaling, writing forgiveness letters, and I love yoga as well. So a variety works for me. I also like sitting on the patio, listening to birds. And so, though, I think for me, what seems to be the most impactful, though, is that all day long, if I'm not on Zoom with someone, I have silence the whole entire day until my husband gets home. And so I think that I do get a lot coming in all the time. And one way that I am able to check that is, okay, this is a little weird to some people, but so I realized it's been almost a year now that I would look at the clock often, and at first it just turned out that it would be at 6:29. So that only happens twice a day, right? 6:29 a.m. or p.m. So then times would happen throughout the day, and it wouldn't be 6:29, but it would be like 8:29 or 9:29. And then I thought, okay, well, it's not my birthday, then it's just the 29. Well, I will tell you that happens to me now at least 4 or 5 times a day, that I can just glance up and look at the clock and it's something 29. And that is my time to check in. So that's, that for me is the holy instant for me throughout the day of how many times I see a time in 29. So that's a time for me that if I feel like it's a time that it's telling me to check in, that maybe I haven't checked in enough for the day or something. So that's a little spiritual practice for me during the day.
That is so cool, Drusilla. I sometimes when I look up at the clock, it's 1:11 or 2:22 or 3:33 or 4:44, and I go, woo! I always feel like I'm
checking
connected.
In.
Yeah, I'm connected right at that point. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool. 29. I'll probably start seeing 29s now.
Yeah, I do see them on tags on cars and stuff too sometimes, but it's just always just like a little whisper,
Is your birthday on the 29th of a month?
June 29th.
Oh, June 29th. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Drusilla, do you want to talk a little bit more about what you mean when you say it's your cue to check in?
Yeah, so it's just a mindfulness state. It's for me to, and it varies every day. Like part of my sacred contract at the beginning of the year, the first statement is, I embody love, peace, and creativity. And so sometimes I just remind myself of that, And other days, it's just reminding myself of something that I was journaling about that came up in the morning. So that kind of varies during the day. Or sometimes it could be that I'm feeling some anxiety or conflict about something, and it just reminds me to kind of center myself back to positive thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I see the repeating numbers, like Penny was talking about, I've heard that they're angel numbers, and it's your angels just letting you know that they're near, which I guess they always are, but it's just like that gentle reminder. And I just always just give a quick thank you for the reminder, or a hello and a thank you to my angels. And I know angel talk weirds people out, but there's angels in the Bible. It's not that freaking weird. And ever since reading Angels in My Hair, I'm obsessed with knowing that angels are standing by.
I love Morgan. I love angels. That's one thing that I do that I didn't mention is in the morning, right when I wake up before I get out of bed, it's my intention to remember to send my angels forward into the day before my feet even hit the floor, to smooth my day, to guide my day, to guide. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So angels. And saying thank you to the bed, Penny. I love that because at night I lay down because I want to go to sleep with gratitude. It's so I do. I thank my comfortable bed and I thank my bamboo sheets and because I do. I try to get in that vibration of gratitude before I go to sleep. Yeah, and I invoke either angels or the risen Christ to shelter, to cover the ground or the bed that I'm laying on, to inspire my dreams so I can heal and learn while in dream time too. I do that most nights.
Nice.
I think night spiritual practices are so awesome. It's so difficult for me for some reason to do it consistently. But I do know that when I have done it, I have the most peaceful and restful nights. And I should do it more. I just need to be as committed to that as I am the mornings. Yeah.
Me too, Drusilla. I have the same struggle. If I get in bed to just unwind and watch TV, and I don't care who judges me for getting in bed and watching TV before bed. I'm doing it mindfully, like Melissa's watching her TikTok mindfully, and I'm giving myself permission to do it. But anyway, the point being, once I'm in bed and I've crossed that threshold, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, even if I have the intentions to, like, before bed, I'm going to get out of bed and go to the other room and have a quick meditation or prayer or whatever, it never happens. So I have learned that I have to do my quiet time before I get in bed to unwind for the night. It won't be the very last thing before sleep for me. And that's okay. I have to let go of judgment that it needs to be the very last thing before I close my eyes at night. So recently, I wouldn't say every single night, but like maybe 3 nights a week, which is really good improvement for me. I've been going to the other room in the house and I've been doing this. It's called an addiction meditation. It's a Kundalini Kriya, I believe. And it's like a 3 or 6 minute meditation. And it can be about physical addictions, but it also is about like the addictive behaviors and thought patterns. It's very healing and powerful for everyone to do. So I'm trying to do that consistently. It's only 6 minutes, and I can always expand on my evening practice from there if I can just get some consistency. I like the word discipline. If I can get some discipline going around that, then I can just... My intention is for my evening spiritual practice to just grow and evolve organically the way my morning practice did without really any efforting. I didn't have to beat myself up about it. It just, like, I went from not being a morning person to having this consistent morning practice organically. So that's what I'm holding will happen for my evening practice as well.
Morgan, this is Melissa. The way I hear you talking about your practice, you enjoy it and it keeps growing because you enjoy it and you're adding on to it. And I think that's important, like for me, not to make it another job, another responsibility I have. I have enough people I take care of and things I do. And so as long as it's not another huge job for me, and I can enjoy it, I tend to do it. And so what I'm hearing from you is that you've added on, because you like, I like this part. I'm going to write about it now, and I'm going to read about it now. I love that. And I'm also hearing from a lot of people, well, all of us, that there's a lot of intention with what we're doing, and how we're living. Amanda, you sound like, I mean, I have been on enough calls with you to know that you live in intention and probably most of the day. And I mean, that itself is like a full daily prayer. That's being mindful. And the little reminders, for me, the numbers 111, 222, for me, it reminds me that I'm connected, that there's someone taking care of me, and that if it's angels or a higher power or whatever, I feel very protected, I guess, when I see the numbers. So and Penny mentioned mindfulness. It's just, it's going through the day being mindful and not being not present.
Melissa, when you just said that too about the 111, 222, I also think of it, it's like I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not just being unconscious all day long and going about my day and, now it's time to thank the bed or, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so I feel like every time I notice it, I go, wow, I am paying attention. I am conscious. And that feels good.
So I know we're not in the business of giving advice, or we're not like teachers or anything like that. But I just wonder, like, for someone who maybe was a busy working mom with 2 small children at home, or like me and not a morning person and having to be at work by a certain time, like what would you say to them about like what is spiritual practice? How could they incorporate spiritual practice into their already busy life? Like, it's kind of like, how could you work in a workout routine into your already busy life? Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say what my teacher told me was, it's simple. Start something simple, something that you do already. Her example was brushing your teeth. You're doing it. You're looking at yourself already. You're brushing your teeth. You're like, I love you. Looking in the mirror, like, whatever it is. Like, if you don't have any time, start with the easiest thing possible. Spirituality does not have to be hard. It does not have to be difficult. That's what's the beautiful thing about this. That's why it makes it more fun to laugh, right? To laugh. Laughing can be a spiritual practice. So that would be my advice.
That's really great advice, Amanda. Just recently, I started, how I have an electric toothbrush, and you know how you're supposed to do 30 seconds in each quadrant. And so you have 2 minutes of brushing. Well, I never did that. I'd go, done. But recently I decided, no, I can spend 2 minutes brushing my teeth morning and night, right? I can slow down enough to do that. And so I love that suggestion. It just spend 2 minutes with your teeth and really being mindful about brushing them. And you can also get into, like you said, a gratitude practice with that too. So I think too, it has to be something, especially for busy moms, or a busy executive. It needs to be something that's doesn't add on to life, and just even doing one breathing exercise, a box breathing or something like that, where you 4 counts in, you hold it 4 counts, then you breathe out for 4 counts, and you hold out for 4 counts. And you just do that over and over again. That's a great practice, just to really be mindful of your breath. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something easy. But I also have been taught that it's all cumulative. So even though you don't do it every day, it accumulates and it adds to you. And so just know that it's everything counts that you do.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what has been brought up several times in this conversation, to the mindfulness practice. Like, I know that since starting, on my spiritual path, just cooking and washing the dishes is a whole different experience than it once was, because I'm not doing it begrudgingly or as a have to. I'm doing it mindfully. I'm just doing it, and I'm being fully present with it, and I'm putting some love into it. And so there's that, just going through my day with the intention to be fully present with whatever's next, not trying to multitask, and just trying to be in love and in intention, no matter what I may be doing. And then when I was working full time, I would do my prayer practice on the commute. I would do my prayers. I would speak them out loud, because if I didn't speak them out loud, then I would trail off into another daydream in the middle of my prayer, and I would never finish my prayer. So I'd speak them out loud in the privacy of my car on my way to work. And that was so there's, anyway, that's all. I'm not great at resolving what I'm trying to say, but
what I'm hearing you say, Morgan, is that you fitted in as you were also doing something that you had to do, commuting to work. So you were doing your spiritual practice while you were doing something else that you could do it. So that's beautiful. What a great idea.
It is. I love it. And it sounds like the bottom line to what all of you said is just bringing it back to being intentional and mindful about it. Because you could be taking care of your baby and cleaning the house, and as long as you are doing it with intention and not just wondering and, thinking about tomorrow and I got to cook dinner later tonight, and just being present with it is spiritual work. That is spiritual practice. So, if you have time to do all the other things, or even time that you might have to be creative, I think that is one of the best spiritual practices ever. Whatever your creative space or energy is, oh my God, that always brings me back to being centered and grounded. Whether it's decorating the house or something, oh, that is such spiritual practice,
I agree, Drusilla. And I have actually been in that spot of raising kids and feeling so overwhelmed, and how am I going to fit this in? And I can't make dinner tonight. I'm too tired. And, on and on. And I think like you said, finding places to get grounded a little, I think that's important. And for me, looking back, one of the things I think I had to learn is to take care of myself, or to do things for myself. So even taking a bath when I didn't have a child in the bath with me, laying in the bath, relaxing in the bath, those little snippets, I wasn't really good at taking care of myself then. But now I look back and I think those were my little breather moments. And I would say, I take care of myself a lot better now. It's what I've learned, but I do think it's not necessarily a spiritual practice, but it's a good place to start.
I think it's part of it, though, taking care of ourselves. I was chuckling while you were saying that, how you would take a bath without a kid. We had this pantry, and if you walked into it, you had to go you walk in and then you had to turn a little corner to get way in the back. I would go way in the back and sit there, and I could hear my kids going, "Mom, Mom," but I needed a minute. So I would go into the pantry and I would be just stone quiet because I am not going to let anybody know. And if they could look in the pantry and they wouldn't see me because they didn't go around the little corner. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying, Melissa.
That's funny. I love that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the things we do.
Well, could anybody speak to like what your spiritual practice looks like when you're going about your day and people and triggers and things happen? Because it sounds like from this conversation that we're just on this spiritual high all the time.
I've got a
So how
great,
does that look for y'all?
I've got a great example of that. When you were talking about washing dishes, Morgan, I'm like, oh, because that is the trigger for me, washing dishes, because like, why am I washing the dishes and why isn't, my husband washing the dishes, or, like I cook. Why am I cleaning? So much emotion is like wrapped up in dishwashing for me. It is not a kumbaya experience at all. That is a huge spiritual practice where I'm washing the dishes and going, wow, like there's resentment and there's anger and there's competition and there's giving to get, and like what is happening with these dishes? Like it is all coming up. And so that dishwashing is a major working on my triggers, like what is going on here, really, like, so really looking at that. And that's been lots of years in the making, and not, I wouldn't say just recently, because I can still do it and I can catch myself going, why am I washing dishes again? Like, like it's funny. It's like, I laugh at myself now when I'm in the middle of it. Like I've gone from resentment. Now I'm in the humor. Like I can see it, but it's still a little funny because I'm taking this dishwashing so seriously. Like, so that's so funny that you said that about dishwashing. So that's my experience.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Well, it's interesting too. I just recently heard a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh about when you're washing dishes, wash the dishes. But then I just looked it up too. And he said that if I'm incapable of washing dishes joyfully, if I want to finish them quickly so I can go and have dessert and a cup of tea, I will be equally incapable of doing these things joyfully. So I thought that was an interesting quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. Just do everything with joy, right, Amanda?
Yeah. That is my intention, but it does not always come out like that.
Yeah.
Are you going to add something, Melissa?
Oh, I was just going to say, I flip a lot of less people off now than I did. I'm a much less assertive driver. And, again, progress before perfection, because I still get triggered, and I don't sit and bless everyone all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm yelling at him in my car, flipping him off or whatever. So, one day at a time.
Yeah. I've been working with the pause, trying to pause before I respond when I'm triggered, and just trying to figure out like what's going on inside of me that I'm triggered again and what is this the millionth time that this has triggered me, and when can I interrupt it once and for all? Yeah. So that I'm working with the pause, just pausing long enough before I react. Before I react, I hope to be able to respond versus reacting. And it's getting better. Like you just said, Melissa, progress versus perfection. Like, yeah.
Well, I can share about a triggering situation yesterday where I had a chance to put the spiritual practice to work. So we were driving, my husband and I, and there was a cow and 2 young cows crossing the road, walking in the road. And it's not an uncommon thing here in Costa Rica, but still it's relatively new to me. And I still get excited over these little things. And I slowed the car down and stopped the car to take a video. And just was enjoying the cows for a minute. And John Mark's head was hurting. We had somewhere to be. And, he just yelled that, go on, forget about the cows, keep going, keep it going. And I got so angry. I accused him of robbing me of the little joys in life, and went on this whole long thing about, I was just so angry. And so the spiritual practice for me in that moment was noticing my resistance, because we know from A Course in Miracles and whatever else, you may study, that love is the ultimate choice. And in A Course in Miracles, it says everything is a cry for love. And so I remembered in that moment, like, okay, I'm choosing to be a victim here. I'm choosing to make John Mark bad and wrong. I'm choosing to make him guilty. And I'm not willing in this moment to give any of that up and to choose love instead. Like, I sat with that awareness that I was very attached to my having been robbed of my little momentary joy, and that I was right and he was wrong. And so I didn't handle it as lovingly as I could have, but I did have the awareness that I was choosing to not handle it as lovingly as I could have. And, I did ask for my guides to assist me in making that shift. And it took probably 15 minutes before I was willing. Oh, it didn't take that long. It took probably 5 or 10 minutes before I was willing to soften and let it go. But I did notice that I was really attached to not choosing love in that moment.
Well, that is so great. That's really great though, Morgan. You course corrected so quickly. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
I love that story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And Morgan, I have cows in the road too. Not every day, but I do. I love pictures. Yeah. I'll send you a bull in the road picture.
Please.
I will.
We can start a text exchange of livestock on the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I grew up on a farm, so. But it is nice to see them safely in their pastures.
Yeah. So you guys, we're coming to the close of another podcast. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
This is Melissa. I love how it's okay to do it how you do it, right? And especially we have great teachers who teach us things and our tools in our toolbox, but then it filters through your own self. So your own schedule, your own self, and you just make it work for your life. I love that. And here's all these examples. Mm-hmm. They're all different.
Well said, Melissa.
Well said. Yes. And on that note, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Wow, another great episode.
Yes, bye, everybody.
Great being with you all.